Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. The new musical Atomic will open off-Broadway at the Acorn Theatre on July 13th, and we're here in the rehearsal room to bring you a sneak peek and to meet the company, led by Hugh Morton, Jeremy Kushner, Sarah Gettelfinger, and Randy Harrison.
Because this is the most seminal tale of our species. A warning sign for every other animal to heed. Lest they grow too smart, too fast, and like man devise. A plan not planned because he cannot plan its own demise. You find this book in history of importance. The highest one, the fiber Rome, electricons, and railroad path of Chrysler Oppenheimer. You brought me to this Gotham to let me play my part. I mean, you put me up in fine motels with Prince of Silverdock. So sit down and audience, this tale I've introduced. And if by the time I'm through you've honestly deduced, there's just one un-American I'd put upon your shelf. Not patriots in lab coats, then I'll terminate myself. Because this is the most seminal tale, the seminal tale. A warning sign for every other animal to heed.
Well, here we are. Welcome back.
Yes. It's nice
What
to
a
be
fun
back.
little show.
Thank
Tell me
you.
how you got involved.
Oh, actually, I'm really not sure. My agent called and said they want you to play Robert Oppenheimer in a musical about the atomic bomb, to which, of course, I scoffed. And then I read it, and I was like, this is quite good. I think it's okay for me to play such a seminal American character now, because I'm applying to become a citizen. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. Congratulations.
Yeah. They sent me a letter saying, yes, come in and do your fingerprints and your DNA, so I've got past stage 1, but now I cannot commit a crime because I'll be captured. So hopefully I'm good in this. Otherwise I'll be arrested for the crime of bad acting, bad accents. It's fun, it's a really good show, it's great to be part of it. I mean, the cast is amazing, Jeremy and Sarah. I've never worked with Sarah. I worked with Jeremy before, we did Chess down at Signature Theatre in DC, so it's kind of like coming home. And the crew, it's quite an Australian group. In fact, the writers, the original book writer is Australian and the music writer is Australian, so it's a seminal American tale told by a bunch of Aussies, which is kind of weird. Shows you how far-reaching American history is, doesn't it?
So what's it like playing him or researching him?
Well, you know, like anything, it's not completely true to history. I mean, it's a musical about the Manhattan Project, so there's going to be some straying away from the fact. So researching him was not always actually helpful, because Oppenheimer was kind of a miserable man. He was certainly very stoic. He was very tough, and that's hard to play for 2.5 hours on stage. So there's this character's lighter. He functions as a narrator basically in this piece. He joins the play in the second act as a character in the play, but he spends the first act basically narrating Leo Szilard's story, Jeremy Kushner's story. So there's just lots of facets to play with this man. They're not all true, but they're now all really interesting. I was kind of scared of playing the sort of miserable, bitchy, argumentative Oppenheimer that if you read on Wikipedia. I watched this documentary on the History Channel about Oppenheimer, and they just made him out to be really just awful. I don't want to play that role. Yeah, so thank goodness he isn't here.
Because Jonathan said the same thing. They're all just these stoic, kind of men.
Well, I mean, they were working on the atom bomb. I mean, I guess, there's a scene in this play where basically they work really hard and then they drink really hard and they work hard and they drink hard. And you can kind of see why that was. I mean, Oppenheimer spent the second half of his life pretty drunk. I mean, I think there was probably a lot of guilt. There was probably a lot of, what did we do? And I think these people were probably inherently damaged by what happened. Whether they agreed that they should have dropped it, or whether they felt what they did was wrong, or whatever their final judgment of their own actions inside the story is. They were stoic. They were driven, stoic men who were trying to save the world, and I guess they did, right? Well, until Iran got hold of the weapon.
And talk about what it's like working on a brand new musical.
Well, it's been a while since I've worked on a brand new musical. It's a different, difficult experience. It's difficult because this workshopped in Australia. before it came over here. And it's a very different world, and it's a very different musical theatre world here. I mean, this is New York, and it's not, New York is not always kind, which I think is good, because it weeds out the crap. You know, so you have to work doubly hard here, and we are working really hard. We've made a slew of changes. Things are still changing, and you know, we go into tech in 7 days, 5 days. We have a long preview period, which is quite common for all new musicals these days, because musicals are expensive, and so you want to get it as right as it can possibly be before you open. I forgot how much hard work a new musical is. Much harder than, you know, going off and doing another Sondheim, or even, you know, anything that's been done before, because there's a framework with which to hang your hat on. There's not here, so it could go anywhere. And there's been a few fights, there's been a few debates, there's been a few arguments, because we all know our characters so well now, and we refuse to have them taken in certain directions. Not me.
They think they're fucking with. We're not gonna take that shit. Sucker punch us with their bombs. We're gonna kick their asses to the rising sun. Sayonara, Tokyo Joe. You got no place left to go. There's no force greater than good old Uncle Sam. Gonna stand up for what's right. Defend our way of life. Right between the eyes. Stars and stripes will rise. Those common Nazi jerks will pay for messing with the USA. When our country calls, we stand proud and tall. Nothing's gonna get in my way. Gonna stand up for what's right. Defend our way of life. Hit right between the eyes. The stars and stripes will rise. You know who my boss really was, the national classified today. Even if I muster all your chutzpah, I tried, what could I say?
So when you heard about this musical and you were up for it or whatever, what went through your mind?
I actually was offered it. I read the script and I was like, oh, this is really, really fascinating material. And then I listened, they had some of the music, I don't know if it was from because it was done in Australia before, so I'm not sure if it was from the Australian cast, so I listened to some of the music that I was singing. And I was really excited because I've never sung this kind of music, in New York at least. And then I knew some of the other cast members attached, and I was like, I'm game, this sounds really exciting.
Great cast.
Great cast, right? Yeah, they're wonderful. I went to school with Sarah back in the day.
I love her.
I love her, and you know what? She was such a huge star at our school. I was never in a show with her because she was always the star of the main stage, and I was like a supporting role in the workshop productions. But I'm so excited to finally get to work with her. She's so beautiful and amazing.
Then you have Ewan, you have Jeremy, you have Jonathan. I mean, it must be so much fun creating a new musical with friends.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. It's really fun. The cast is amazing, and I've only done one other new musical, like where I was a part of the creation of it. It's a crazy process. I mean, there's so many moving parts. It's really thrilling.
Because that's what Ewan was saying. I mean, what's it like working on a new musical, especially something, this is sort of big but small but big.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a big but small, but yeah big. It's hard. It's hard work. It's a lot of work, and you have to be quick on your feet, quick to learn music, quick to learn new choreography. You need to be willing to scrap everything you've worked on and restart. But this is a good group. I mean, we're all sort of collectively in it for the piece, for the making it the best it can be. But it's a lot of work, especially as someone who's used to doing plays, which can be a lot of work as well. But this is different. There's much more to learn. And
talk about the role you play.
I'm playing two roles. I'm playing Paul Tibbets, who was the head pilot on the Enola Gay, which was the plane that dropped the atomic bomb, the first atomic bomb, and Edward Teller, who was one of the atomic scientists in the Manhattan Project, one of the younger ones. And he was a Hungarian immigrant to America. He went on to be called like the father of the hydrogen bomb. He very much advocated later for the use of atomic energy and for a large nuclear arsenal. So they're two very, very different people, and the roles they serve in the show are very different. The way Teller is put into the show, he's sort of like character, somewhat comic relief a lot of the time, and Paul Tibbets is sort of this aggressive, I mean, you saw one of the songs I sang, this very aggressive, sort of angry young American guy, who's sort of running away from home and joining the army and very military. So they're drastically different roles.
Did you do any research? Because I was talking to the other guys, and they're all like stoic. You go to Wikipedia, and they're all like, he was this, he was a drunk, he was this, Right. Could you look up your guys? Did you find anything out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a balance of knowing what's true of this, because they're both real people, and then figuring out what actually works for the show, because Teller wasn't initially written to be Teller. In the Australian production, he was just like a scientist role, and they decided to specify him. But there's a lot of ways, especially for Teller, that bringing too much of the real guy doesn't work for what he is in this show. So, it's a balance. I've done it before. I feel like I've played a few people who really existed. I played Warhol in a musical, actually. And it's always a balance of, how can I suggest this character, especially for Warhol, who was such a well-known person. But these guys, I don't think many people would be like, that's not how he talked. But it's a balance of figuring out how can I represent the real person and what works on the page as far as this character and how does this person that they wrote serve the show.
What was today like for you guys, opening the rehearsal room for an audience?
Exciting and nerve-wracking. We're our point in the rehearsal process right now. We have a show, but it's great. We have this wall of scenes, and things keep getting moved, and so we're at a very exciting moment, and again nerve-wracking, because we're sort of like, oh, now we're going to put some of this stuff in front of people. Okay, but I think that it's always, in this process, that's always sort of the moment that this inhabits. And I think that the energy that we got from you guys that were here and that we felt just doing it, I think was a really good step in the process. I think it really sort of will energize us to go to the next level and the next level, and I'm just really excited to get to the theater.
So when you first found out about this, a musical about, the atomic bomb, what went through your mind?
Well, lots of things. I mean, you're brave to do a musical about a bomb, right? So, but it's exciting. As I researched this specific character, Leo Szilard, he had such an amazing life. There's so many bullet points that you just go, it's like your mind is blown. The fact that without his inventions, without his patents, the atom bomb couldn't even exist. And then the fact that he would go so far as to trash his career by starting a petition to get them to stop using the bomb in Japan. He was also he was one of the first people to use radiation therapy to cure cancer on himself, and ended up doing it. It's like sort of mind blowing. So I think as far as that goes, it was a really exciting and quite frankly a little bit scary character to take on. This is sort of bigger than life.
And working on a new musical, what that means to you?
Best thing in the world. I mean, if I could just do this every day and get to create new stuff every day and work with amazing writers and amazing directors and amazing actors. Our cast is it's a dream cast. So it's incredible. I love this moment. I love getting to create.
Let's talk about your cast. A lot of your friends in the show, right?
Tons of friends. Some new, some old. Ewan and I haven't worked together since Chess, but I would sweep floors in in theaters that he worked at. Getting to work with Sarah, I've known of Sarah for a long time. I never gotten a chance to work with her. And she's incredible and has the biggest heart and not hard to look at. and then our tremendous ensemble, Randy and David Abellis, and just it goes on and on and on. It's so great. It's so exciting to come to work every day.
And working with the composers.
Working with composers, it can be amazing and mind-numbingly hard sometimes. Because it's really hard. It's like you sort of birth this baby and you hand it to a nurse, and then the nurse goes, he's not really pretty enough. And they're like, well, but that's a baby. Like, yeah, but we got it. Let's make it better. But they've been so incredible as far as being collaborative. And Damien, our director, has really opened up the room to make sure that the best idea is the idea that ends up getting put in front of people. And we have a room full of, not only talented actors, but really smart actors and really unconsciously good storytellers that we're really putting this piece together, and it's going to be the best version of this piece by the time we get it to the theater, I know.
This life that I chose, to be in love with a man who's in love with his work. Am I spending my life alone? I've known men who are caring high, holding on my every word.
Talk about the number that you sing in the show that we saw today.
It's a gorgeous song called Headlights, and it comes at a beautiful moment in the show where, Trudy and Leo have a rather unconventional relationship. They are madly in love with one another, but they are ultimately scientists first. Leo obviously is working on the atomic bomb, and Trudy is a very, renowned pediatric surgeon, and part of the reason why they love each other is because they know their work comes first. But we see this gorgeous moment where she's incredibly vulnerable, and we don't see the brilliant woman who is, constantly living her life, keeping feelings separate from what she needs to do to get through the day. And it's just a really beautiful, vulnerable, quiet moment where we really hear how she feels about this man and how he affects her and her heart. So it's a joy to sing. I love it.
So she's based on a real woman.
Yes. Trudy and Leo were really together, and they were really, incredibly modern, for that time period. They never had children, but they were together their whole lives, and, they would end up later, joining forces to bring some of the first developments in radiation for curing cancer. So they were really extraordinary people that, did a lot of brilliant work, in conjunction with having a beautiful love affair.
Now, I know a lot of this stuff is in the script, but were you able to do some research with her online or anything, or read anything about her?
Yes, absolutely. And I actually had the most wonderful gift. Her daughter and her niece and nephew actually contacted our writers, and they're going to be coming to the show, but they sent over, letters and photographs and things, from this actual woman, which is so thrilling. It's also frightening because, when it's such a wonderful resource to have as an actor, but at the same time there's a pressure that comes with that because you really are, being given the opportunity to, continue someone's legacy through your storytelling, and you want to handle that very carefully and do it justice. So.
And working with this great cast, because a lot of these are your friends.
Yes. I will be honest. I said yes before I had really finished reading the script. I was so excited with the names in the creative team. The subject matter fascinated me, and Jeremy and Ewan I have just adored for years and admired their work so very much, and I thought, it's new, who knows what we'll end up with, but those are the kind of people that I want to be in the sandbox with, so I was pretty excited.
And you and Randy went to school together, right?
Yes, Randy and I went to school together, and I've enjoyed watching his career, and I mean, he was brilliant from the day he walked into the doors of college, but I've just always enjoyed him so much as a person and been so thrilled for his success, so this many years down the line to get to work together is a real gift.
What you've enjoyed the most about working on a brand new musical?
Well, I just think there's nothing like it. I've been very blessed to have had that opportunity a few times since I've been in New York. And it's two levels. When you have the opportunity to work on new material, but when you're lucky enough to be with a cast and creative team that are true collaborators, you just get to be involved in the blueprint in a different way that you don't experience if something's already been established. You really get to put your mark on it and have a connection to that character in a way that only comes with building it from the ground up.
I miss my mama and the smell of her lasagna, and my father with his keep your big mouth shut. I hope someday I can get back that way and to see them both again. But in America, amore, life's a great romance. In America, amore. Oh, welcome home. Let's dance.
So here we are in the rehearsal room. How cool was this for you today?
It was actually a blast. We've been just at it and at it and at it with no one except us seeing it, and the response was really great. It was really great. So yeah, I think we're all feeling like, we maybe have a show.
Talk about who you play and what the whole musical is about.
Sure. Well, the musical is about. I play Enrico Fermi, who is the Italian Nobel Prize-winning physicist who is instrumental with Leo Szilard in creating the atomic bomb. We've sort of taken a little bit of departure in terms of we really are playing up his Italianness and turning him into a bit of a character, which is a lot of fun. The show is about it's about the making of the atomic bomb, about the sort of moral conundrums that went along with that, and really what these people went through in not only creating it, but then dealing with what did we do? What did we create? And many of them became very, very heavy drinkers, and spent much of their latter part of their lives depressed. Although that's not really shown in the show. The show's like a lot of fun. It's also a really great mixture of a contemporary sensibility with a period piece that it's somehow. You still feel like it's. We're telling a story in a certain amount of time or a certain period of time, but it's still like it still speaks to our audiences today. Just in terms of what they're seeing and our sensibilities with it and all of that. So it's been great finding that tone, if that makes sense.
What kind of research did you do?
It's so funny that you say that because I Googled Enrico Fermi and you will fall asleep reading. I mean, because it's just, he invented the da-da-da-da-da, neutron, da-da-da. But Gregory, the writer, had written this very colorful Italian guy. So I called him up before we started rehearsing. I said, Gregory, I'm not finding Enrico Fermi womanizer, Enrico Fermi partier, and he said, oh no, I sort of wrote it, we wanted a foil for Leo, and he's sort of my grandfather. So I've definitely done research, but it's been, for me, the challenge has been marrying this colorful character they wrote with someone who actually has a brain like you and I can't even imagine, if that makes sense.
So talk about your number that you did, so your big Italian number.
A big Italian number. Yeah, so I have, in addition to writing a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, he also wrote an immigrant, so this is, the number's really about, this is what, at this period, this is right, Fermi has escaped Mussolini, it's, 33, 34, and Leo, he meets Leo for the first time, and there is it's kind of immigrant to immigrant. This is what it's like here. This is what, these are the possibilities, and all of that. And even it's interesting because Fermi really didn't have moral conundrums about the bomb because he always believed so much that America would do the right thing that he just always felt like he didn't have a hard time sleeping at night about it because he was so in love with the country, if that makes sense.
It was a lot of fun. I'll see you on July 13th.
Yes.
Thank you for opening your rehearsal room today. What was today like for you, adding an audience into the mix?
It was really nice to see people's reaction. It was really nice to have energy coming back at you after being under the lights for so hard, just working hard, to take a step back and feel the love come back to you is nice.
What attracted you to this musical?
One is it's an epic scale. It's a story that sort of changed history. And when I've discovered that I didn't know nothing about Leo Szilard, I need to correct that, because the man invented this bomb that changed the world. And so when I found a character that I didn't know anything about, I needed to know about him. That set amidst the backdrop of an epic story that changed history was worth telling.
And working on a brand new musical, because I'm sure there's a lot of changes. I mean, the best wins, but what that's like for you creating a new musical?
Well, in the room with a new work, you want the pile of stuff that you edited to be really high in the rehearsal room, because that way it's not on stage. So it's a lot of just taking many different looks at different things and really being a creative crucible, being hard on the work, so that what comes out of this room is the best foot we can put forward.
And working with this cast?
Amazing, just amazing. They're incredibly instinctual. They're connected personally to the story. They love telling the story. They're open. I believe in a very collaborative room, and they're very much collaborative in this process. So it's one. I always say, it's many minds, one heart.
As a director, what do you want the audience to take away from this piece? I mean, there's a great story here.
Yeah, I'm always looking to first and foremost create a theatrical event in a theater that people feel good about being a part of. I want to transport them, take them away from real life, hold them in that story, and let them walk away with that story knowing something and feeling something they hadn't felt before. First and foremost, it's a quality theatrical event that you really feel good about being part of.
How did you come about writing a musical about the creation of the atomic bomb?
Well, the story came first, and after about 8 years, the story told me it wants to be a musical. It started as a film, but it started as me writing it as a film, and yeah, but the story kind of wanted to be told.
And like Leo, Danny has been rolling this ball up the hill. He found the story, he found me, he found Phil, he found Damien, and now we found our way to New York.
I don't have any background in writing musicals or in theatre or in writing screenplays or anything. My background is advertising, so...
Wow, so what has this process been like for you?
It's been a big learning curve. It's but it's kind of this story that's been really engaged me and really pushed me into kind of areas that have been scary, but very rewarding. And the story has kind of written me in some ways, written the whole project. Yeah.
And for you?
Yes. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Working on this, I mean, and the idea is you said, I want to make this work and write lyrics for this.
Oh, sure. Well, I was brought on when the production was in Sydney. We did an earlier run in Sydney, Australia. And so Damien, who I had worked with before, our director, he asked me to come on and start working with Danny on this book and lyrics. And of course you think, not another musical about the atomic bomb, my God.
There were so many.
That's right. Countless just this summer alone. But no, an original musical is always an exciting proposition. It's always wonderful to see anybody who gives a damn about doing anything like that, especially on something so substantial. And so many of the questions when I got to Australia were, do you think New York would be interested in this? And I thought, I know the New York audience. They want something to sink their teeth into, and they want ambition. And this story had it all. It's the story that wasn't told about something that was done in these buildings, right around them, and affected the entire world. Yeah.
So was it easy to sort of write lyrics for these characters? Or is it all character driven? Did you do research on the characters first? Did you just take it from the book? How did you sort of work on writing the lyrics?
Well, we had both done the lyrics, and Danny had a really great hold on... Phil had this kind of rock aesthetic, and so there's some songs that have, like you'll hear like One Day in Greater Battle, and they have a real kind of beautiful imagery to them. And then kind of when I came in, we worked on some pieces like Fermi's song and Oppenheimer's song, and separate characters and kind of what their voice and what that does differently, and their world that opens up the show's world a little bit, you know, beyond just Leo. That was kind of one of our first challenges dramatically. Sure. Yeah.
Now coming to New York, dynamite cast. I mean, what a great cast. Do you write for them in mind now? Have there been a lot of changes with the show during this process in New York?
The cast have been very involved in telling their story. They kind of tell us what they need. You know, if it's not there, we give it to them. It's very, very collaborative. I mean, if someone tells me I'm doing the wrong thing, I say, I don't know how to do this. You're telling me how to. You're showing me. I'm an empty vessel, and no, it's the whole process all the way through. Long before it came here, but continuing here as well has been totally collaborative. It's not it never gets into a kind of an us and them situation. It's we're all kind of in this. We're family. We're trying to do something fantastic, and everybody's very invested in it. You know, it's great.
And what's it been like for you?
Well, I think we're standing on the shoulders of two casts, the Sydney cast as well. Their contributions, as well as the New York, can't be overstated. Just the way that, because we're juggling so much with the story, between the science, between the history, between honoring, trying to get this extremely complex idea ethically out to this audience through song. And so the way that they're able to kind of make sure that their journeys are real and honest, it can't be overstated what a great contribution all those actors and actresses have made on the piece itself, really.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you for opening your rehearsal room.
My pleasure.
What was it like for you guys today, having an audience here?
Oh, it was really thrilling. I mean, we were watching everybody's expressions. We were standing over there because we've been living with these songs for so long. To actually see people responding and tapping away and applauding, it was really wonderful.
So how did you get involved with this? Take me back to the beginning of how you came to write the musical. 2.5
years ago, Danny Ginges, the other writer, came to me with the book, and he said, try to have a look at it. What do you think? And I said, well, you know, it's a big job. It's a musical about the atomic bomb. How do you write songs for a song like that? So we talked about it, and then we thought, well, you could either go klezmer and 40s and 30s, but then it's about the atomic bomb. We got to do something big, you know. So it's a rock musical. So that's my forte, is rock music.
So this was already done in Sydney, right? You had a production there.
Yes.
So what did you learn from the show there?
Well, you learn from what works and what doesn't work with an audience, and you know, each performance and each audience is different, and the Australian audiences are not as attached to the story as American audiences. So we felt that we brought it over here, we started workshopping it here, we realized that we needed to make the story a little bit more, it was much more for an American audience.
And working with this cast here in New York.
They're amazing, all of them. I mean, you sit down and you hear about their credits and what they've done, and it's like, wow, we're working with this person and that person. And the band are amazing too. We're working with all these guys that have done all these amazing shows, Next to Normal, you know, all these other, bass player from Next to Normal, the drummer from, you know, the Green Day's musical, you know, it's American Idiot. It's great people, really excited.
What excites you the most about working on a new musical for New York?
Well, this is the city, you know, and this is where musicals really come out of. And if we can make something that is really an important musical for its time, then it's exciting to be here to be part of that creation.